Welcome to the show. I'm Dan, reporting on new news and other stories that I find interesting and my takes and opinions on these stories for entertainment purposes. And on this segment of What the News, calls for President Biden's withdrawal intensify, getting into clips, my thoughts and what I'm hearing and where it might go. Bombshell story about government loses 85,000 migrant children. Whistleblower testimony on Capitol Hill, which seems to get very little coverage. We'll get into that video. BRICS. What is it? Should we be worried? My thoughts and a little insight on what might come to be and a devastating blow to the US economy. Then we'll end the show with John Stossel TV. Recently Elon Musk tweeted with this impeccable B-roll video that gets you really thinking. Is the world going to end? Should we stop having children because so-called experts say we should? 4 stories today. Appreciate y'all being here. Sit back and relax. Keep an open mind and question everything. Let's get into it. Let the culture speak. Calls for President Biden's withdrawal intensify. In recent days, a growing number of Democratic lawmakers have publicly called for President Joe Biden to withdraw from the 2024 presidential race. This trend began on the House of Representatives but has now extended to the Senate as well. Senator Peter Welch of Vermont has become the first sitting Democratic senator to call for President Biden to step aside. Welch's announcement follows a wave of similar calls from House Democrats. 2 more House members called for Biden to step aside on July 11 alone. This brings the total number of House Democrats calling for Biden's withdrawal at least 9. The pressure on Biden extends beyond elected officials. Donors are also increasingly calling for him to step down. Recently, George Clooney, big donor, I think close to $30 million to Biden's campaign. This growing chorus of opposition underscores the mounting concerns among Democrats about Biden's ability to serve another term. Despite this, President Biden has insisted he is staying in the race. He has a massive ego. Biden has wanted to be president since he was a young senator, and he hates to be talked down and wants to prove others wrong. But I wanted to enforce with some clips of Biden that clearly shows the guy is not fit. Racist remarks over the years and the absurdity that people can't see because they're stuck in 2020. Anyone but Trump. Anyone but Trump. After Biden wins, people just went back to tunnel vision and not paying any attention till now. Like, the fuck, y'all? His mental decline was showed in the beginning. But first, how can he mess this up?
Guess what? They're trying to push me out of the race. No! Well, let me say this clearly as I can. I'm staying in the race. I'll beat Donald Trump. I will beat him again in 2020.
Even doctors agree just by watching him that he is not well. You got the press grilling Karine Jean-Pierre.
Cannot from here confirm any of that because we have to keep their privacy. I think they would appreciate that too. We have to give them.
The doctor.
We have to keep their privacy.
It is public information.
I hear you. Guys, hold on a second. There's no reason to go back and forth with me in this aggressive way.
Miffed around here about how information's been shared with the press corps about him.
What do you missed about? What do you missed about?
Everything he just asked about.
And then every time I come back and I answer the question that you guys asked.
Correctly, you didn't have to come back and clean it up.
I never answered the question incorrectly. That is not true. I was asked about a medical exam. I was asked about a physical. That was in the line of question that I answered. And I said, no, he did not have a medical exam. And I still stand by that. Matter of fact, the president still stands by that. He had a verbal check-in. That is something that the president has a couple times a week. A couple times a week.
Now in regards to Dr. Kevin Kennard.
And I am telling you right now that I am not sharing confirming names from here. It is a security reasons. I am not going to do that, Ed. It doesn't matter how hard you push me. It doesn't matter how angry you get with me. I'm not going to confirm a name. It doesn't matter if it's even in the log. I am not going to do that from here.
Damn, she has a tough fucking job because she has to lie for the president. Just so much pushback, her in general, throughout the presidency. She is ready to get the fuck out of there. His mental decline and seems to be dementia also.
Your mental focus is. It's focused. I haven't. Look.
Let's get ready to bumble!
I think it's a right for people to have bad health care. True international effort to pressure.
God, oh my Lord, I can't believe I said that. America is a nation that can be defined in a single word. I was going to put him.
And Corn Pop was a bad dude, and he ran a bunch of bad boys.
Wait.
All men and women created by go. You know the thing.
If it holds near and dear to you that you like to be able to. Anyway. We went for two reasons. One, to come on, man. The guy who runs that outfit over there. I've had a couple questions, but the nature, not Representative Jackie. Are you here? Where's Jackie? I didn't think she was going to be here. What am I doing here? Tucker. Yeah.
I got hairy legs that turn, that.
Thank you for your tolerance, for listening to me. I appreciate it very much. What?
I feel bad for the guy because he's just being ushered into this by his wife, Jill Biden, Hunter Biden. And this doesn't seem like he's really in control, but more the family is in control to push him to finish line. Racist remarks through his career in politics and stances that he was against, now he's for.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
If you have a problem figuring out whether you're for me or Trump, and you ain't black.
Hush up, boy.
We already have a mayor. We don't need any more big shots.
It doesn't matter whether or not they were deprived as a youth. It doesn't matter whether or not they're the victims of society. The end result is they're about to knock my mother on the head with a lead pipe, shoot my sister, beat up my wife, take on my sons. So I don't want to ask what made them do this. They must be taken off the street.
Unchain Wall Street. They're going to put you all back in chains.
Do you support gay marriage?
No. Barack Obama nor I support redefining from a civil side what constitutes marriage. We do not support that.
Marriage is between a man and a woman, and states must respect that.
You cannot go to a 7-Eleven or a Dunkin' Donuts unless you have a slight Indian accent. I'm not joking.
Personal comments he made about another White House hopeful, Senator Barack Obama.
I mean, you got the first sort of mainstream African American who is articulate and bright and clean and a nice looking guy. I mean, that's a storybook.
Mainstream media news outlets defending him, gaslighting and propagandize us citizens. Like, example, The View. Co-host Whoopi Goldberg admitted this week she would vote for Joe Biden regardless of his clearly deteriorating mental state, as long as it means keeping Donald Trump from retaking the White House. Saying, I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. I have a poopy days all the time. That's too much information, Whoopi. I step in so much poo, you can't even imagine. Check this video out.
I'm just going to add my 2 cents because I wasn't here on the day that y'all talked about it. I don't care if he's pooped his pants. I don't care if he can't put a sentence together. Show me he can't do the job, and then I'll say, okay, maybe it's time to go. Now, he had a bad night the first time that he went out and debated with Kamala Harris. And everybody wanted him to quit then and say, you can't talk to women like this, or you're doing this wrong, you're doing that wrong. He came back, said, you know what, I got it, and gave 4 years. So yeah, I have poopy days all the time. I step in so much poo you can't even imagine. Now, I'm not running the world, but I don't know anybody who doesn't step in stuff at some point. So I'm just simply saying, yeah, there are 2 debates. And if he can't do what he needs to do for the second debate, I'll join any crew that says get rid of him. But loyalty to me, if you are doing the job, I might not like everything you're doing. I don't like it all. But I'm going to stand behind you like those guys stand behind the guy who should have been the person people were talking about saying, yeah, Biden had a bad day, but this guy couldn't tell the truth if it split his lip. But nobody said that, but Anna said that, I believe, or something. She's not quite as colorful as I am. But the question now
Give me a chance.
The question now is, because lots of Democrats are coming out saying, you know, oh, find somebody else. But when we tried to do that with DT, this is my new way of just describing him. When we said, listen, he shouldn't be on the ballot. Everybody said, no, no, no. The people chose him. We can't take him off the ballot. Well, I don't understand why anybody thinks it's going to be any easier to take Biden off the ballot.
I don't get that The View had Donald Trump way back, worshiped the guy, but now he's running for president, they're like bitch slapping him. With Biden, I don't know what's gonna happen, but I'm hearing things that the 25th Amendment states the vice president shall replace the president if they die in office or resign, or if members of the president's cabinet declare president unable to fulfill the duties of their office. So we'll see. We'll see where that's going to go. Kamala Harris is going to stand in. If Biden's going to take the rest of his presidency, Kamala Harris steps in. Who knows? Gavin Newsom might be vice president. There's a lot of things. He might be killed, assassinated. I see it in a way that he declares unable to fulfill their duties because of his mental decline, even though he's clearly lying about his mental acuity. He's 80, 90 years old. This guy cannot run for another 4 years. It's out of the question. And now people are he has to go. He has to go because at this point, he's going to lose to Donald Trump. No doubt about that. Even with Kamala Harris, she's gonna lose too. But we'll see, because there's so much things that could happen, but no one really knows. We're just waiting for a couple more weeks to see if he does step down or something does happen. Be prepared for that. His numerous failures that people seem to forget or not pay attention for 3 years, but seem to come out of hiding because of an election. And all I hear with no substance, any common sense, or just spewing talking points from mainstream media: Donald Trump bad. Donald Trump bad. Here are some of Biden's failures in office. Biden's disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan resulted in 13 military members dead, halting the construction of the border wall, day one ending a successful Remain in Mexico program, the depletion of our oil reserves and selling it to China, media covering up his mental decline and him lying about it, lied about his son's laptops, which reveals his ties to China and Ukraine, funneling millions to his family, closer to World War III, pushing China and Russia together, fear-mongering push during COVID. Do you guys forget about that? The compulsive lying till this day, and he's like plummeting in the polls. So if he's going to lose to Donald Trump, so they gotta get more voters in. And how are they gonna do that? With illegal immigrants. Millions, I don't know, right here, like 50 to 40 million illegals are coming in. Those are replacing Democrat voters, because a lot of Democrat voters are moving over to Republican or independent. They need to usher in more voters, and this comes into the SAVE Act. In a move that's sparking fierce debate, the House of Representatives has passed the Republican-led Safeguard American Voter Eligibility SAVE Act. The bill, which passed 221 to 198, would require voters to prove their citizenship in federal elections by providing a driver's license, passport, and other form of ID. But the Biden administration is pushing back hard, claiming it would make it much harder for eligible Americans to vote. The vote was largely along party lines, with only 5 Democrats siding with Republicans. Does this mean, as some Republicans claim, that most Democrats want to protect the ability of illegal immigrants to vote in U.S. elections? Or are Democrats right that the bill is a solution in search of a problem? The Biden administration argues that it's already illegal for non-citizens in federal elections, and that states have effective safeguards in place to verify voters' eligibility.
¿Tiene derecho para votar?
Que entramos ilegal, por lo menos tenemos acceso a votar.
¿Para quién se va a votar?
John Biden, que nos está ayudando a nosotros aquí.
Yo creo que la mayoría Biden.
Biden. Él es el que nos está ayudando por Biden.
Claro, Biden.
Por supuesto que por Biden.
Le gusta apoyar a los migrantes. Sí, es muy buena persona. No, Trump es otra cosa, es otra cosa.
But reporters suggest that government agencies in 49 states are providing voters registration forms to illegal immigrants without requiring proof of citizenship. Is this a widespread problem that needs to be addressed? The administration claims the SAVE Act would do nothing to safeguard elections, but would make it harder for eligible Americans to register to vote and increase the risk of eligible voters being purged from voter rolls. But how exactly will the bill have this impact? The administration hasn't provided specifics. The bill's fate now hangs in the balance as it heads to the Senate. Will it pass, or will it meet a Democratic filibuster? And what would it mean for the future of voting in America if it becomes law? Where do you stand on the SAVE Act? Should voters be required to prove citizenship to cast a ballot? Does the bill address the problem, or is it a voter suppression tactic? Let me know in the comments. Moving on, this is outrageous. U.S. government loses 85,000 migrant children. Think the headline is exaggerating? Whistleblowers assigned to process migrant minors near the border paint a horrifying picture. They claim that children were frequently handed over to people who were obviously not their relatives. In some cases, there was even evidence of abuse and trafficking. Let that sink in. Vulnerable kids, alone, scared, potentially placed in the hands of abusers and traffickers. How is this possible in a country that prides itself on protecting the most vulnerable?
My name is Deborah White. I'm a federal employee that was detailed to the Health and Human Services Office of Refugee Resettlement, HHS ORR, in the summer of 2021 to help unaccompanied children entering the country. As a Hispanic American and professional with certifications in project management and contracting, I believed that my language and professional skills could be valuable in reuniting children with their families. What I discovered was horrifying. Make no mistake, children were not going to their parents. They were being trafficked with billions of taxpayer dollars by a contractor failing to vet sponsors and process children safely, with government officials complicit in it. In June of 2021, I discovered the first case of trafficking, and along with my counterpart, Tara Rodas, reported it. But children continued to be sent to dangerous locations with improperly vetted sponsors. One case in Florida had over 12 children linked to one sponsor at multiple addresses. Children were sent to addresses that were abandoned houses or non-existent in some cases. In Michigan, a child was sent to an open field, even after we reported making a 911 call after hearing someone scream for help, yet the child was still sent. When I raised concerns about contractor failures and asked to see the contract, I was told, and I quote, "You're not going to get the contract and don't ask for it again." So I took it upon myself to create trainings for significant incident reports of sexual abuse and for flagging trafficking in order to equip case managers. But children continued to be sent to dangerous places. We never saw sponsors face to face, and fake documents were rampant. When we questioned documents, HHS ORR leadership said, "You're not a fake ID expert, and your job is not to investigate the sponsor. Your job is to reunify the child with the sponsor." Contacting the Guatemalan consulate in regards to fake documents resulted in a reprimand by the HHS ORR official stating, "That's not your job, and you are never to contact the consulate again." When I checked on a child's welfare at another facility, I was told, and I quote, "Do not do that again. Once these children leave here, they're gone, and they are no longer your responsibility." 30-day wellness calls required by HHS ORR policy revealed that many sponsors no longer had the children in their custody, and many case managers became frantic. But HHS ORR leadership instructed us to stop doing the 30-day calls and stated that they would be done at the National Call Center from now on. Repeatedly, the program prioritized speed over safety. HHS ORR and Cherokee Federal, the prime contractor, created a quote-unquote strike team to remove children faster, ignoring warnings that came from case managers that children were being trafficked. As a certified project manager and contracting official, I could have ensured that the contract terms and conditions were upheld, but my offers for help were repeatedly rejected. Cherokee Federal staffed the site with several unqualified, unvetted, and quite frankly, dangerous contractors with access to vulnerable children that did not get the appropriate support, services, or humanity that they deserved after a most treacherous journey. I have seen these children, I have interviewed these children, and I have stories that will haunt me for the rest of my life. The HHS ORR program is the biggest failure in government history that I have ever witnessed. Despite raising case after case of trafficking, HHS ORR leadership and the contractor allowed children to be trafficked on their watch, and the taxpayers continue to fund it. I plead with you to give these exploited children a fighting chance. Please save them and investigate this program. We've spent countless hours with Senator Grassley's staff as part of this investigation. Despite these tremendous efforts, children continue to be trafficked into America, and we are paying for it. Please understand, this is taxpayer-funded child slavery, sanctioned by our government and brought to you by NGOs like Cherokee Federal. We are the United States of America. We can do better, and by God, we must do better. I cannot stand by and do nothing while children's lives are at stake. Can you? Please, I urge every senator to investigate this matter as Senator Grassley is doing, and I plead for every American to demand action.
I'm pretty sure this story was breaking last year, but now it's coming out into a testimony that she's given. Imagine now with millions of people coming through and kids that aren't being reported. That's probably the hundreds of thousands. Knowing that millions are coming through Canada, millions are coming through the southern border. Mayorkas and Joe Biden are actually paying for migrants to come fly straight to here, not being vetted, kids potentially getting kidnapped, crime is rampant. Are we like the #1 sex trafficking in the world? It seems like it. Let's talk about it. Talk about it with family. Talk about it with friends. Do something like what I'm doing, that other slither minority are doing, but we're doing the work. We're spreading the word. Let's do it for the children, yo. It's heartbreaking. I just hope they do investigate. I hope it's just not a clown show to just put it on camera and forget about it. I hope there's real investigations. She's a whistleblower. I hope she's protected. And I appreciate her. What is it? It's July now. How many other kids are gone from the system? I don't want to go on, but I have to go on. Let's get into the next one, okay? The US dollar may no longer reign supreme as the global reserve currency, where the economic dominance of the United States is challenged by the rise of the BRICS nations, Brazil, Russia, China, and South Africa. This shift is not only possible, but it may be closer than you think. The petrodollar system, which has propped up America's financial power for decades, is facing unprecedented threats. But what does this mean for the future of the US economy and its position on the world stage? The petrodollar system, established in the 1970s, has long been the cornerstone of American financial dominance. But as the global energy landscape evolves and the BRICS nations rise, is it substantial for the US to rely so heavily on a system that other nations increasingly want to move away from? The growing desire to ditch the petrodollar is fueled by America's increasing weaponization of the dollar, including the use of sanctions and asset freezing to punish geopolitical foes. Can the US continue to wield the dollar as a weapon without prompting a backlash from nations who want more control over their financial futures? The fate of Libya's Muammar Gaddafi serves as a stark reminder of the consequences of challenging the petrodollar. In the years leading up to his overthrow and killing in 2011, Gaddafi had been a vocal advocate for replacing the dollar with a gold-backed dinar as the currency for oil transactions in Africa. But was the fate a one-off, or is it a warning to others who would dare to challenge the petrodollar's dominance? As BRICS continue to rise, the petrodollar faces growing challenges. Can the US afford to ignore the writing on the wall? The implications of a reduced role for the dollar as the world's reserve currency could be profound for the U.S. economy. Could higher interest rates, inflation, a decline in the standard of living for American citizens be on the horizon? Would the erosion of the petrodollar system limit America's ability to run large trade deficits and threaten its position as the world's lone superpower? Or is there a way for the U.S. to adapt, maintain its economic dominance in a changing world? The rise of BRICS and the growing desire of nations to move away from the petrodollar pose significant challenges to the U.S. economy and America's position in the world. But are these challenges insurmountable? Or is there a path forward for the U.S. to navigate this new economic landscape? The legacy of the petrodollar and the fate of those who challenged it, such as Muammar Gaddafi, serve a reminder of the high stakes involved in the struggle for economic supremacy. As the world moves forward, will the U.S. be able to maintain its grip on global finance, or will the rise of BRICS signal a new era of economic multipolarity? The answer remains to be seen, but one thing is clear: the era of uncontested U.S. economic dominance may soon be coming to an end. People are saying not to be worried, but as all these nations, I think Argentina's looking to invest in that also, and China just dumping US dollars, Russia dumping US dollars. Prices are so high right now. In my opinion, I feel like it's already happening, and you see we're in a depression. We were in a recession for like 5 years. We're in a depression now. I think prices are like 35-50% higher now. We're barely getting by. Moving on. Climate change and this fear-mongering of the end of the world. Okay, when I was a young Dan, alright, I believed the world was going to end. I didn't want to have children because of this false premise of we're killing the planet and overpopulation, that resources are going to be scarce, that having kids in a dying world wouldn't be sensible to do. Over time and researching and learning, I came to understand, and not just this video that I'm going to show, but videos of years of grooming to demoralize, strip us from any purpose, and just constant fear to just give up on life into a slave mentality. Check out this video by John Stossel. Impeccable B-roll.
The world's about to end.
We are in the beginning of a mass extinction.
Throughout history, people predicted the end of humanity. This month, 60 Minutes was on the case.
You seem to be saying that humanity is not sustainable.
Oh, humanity is not sustainable.
Bizarrely, they featured this man, who has always predicted doom.
We are very close to a famine disaster in the United States.
Why would they treat him like an expert?
Paul Ehrlich may have lived long enough to see some of his dire prophecies come true.
But his dire prophecies, again and again, turn out to be wrong.
In the next 15 years, the end will come. And by the end, I mean an utter breakdown of the capacity of the planet to support humanity.
His bestseller, which sold an amazing 3 million copies, said nothing can prevent a substantial increase in the world death rate. That was comically wrong. Today, there are 4 billion more people. The death rate fell dramatically.
Too many people, too much consumption.
60 Minutes did mention that Ehrlich was wrong about widespread starvation, but they take him seriously, never mentioning his other ridiculous predictions, like his claim that by the year 2000, England will not exist because of climate change. But England's still here. Instead of interviewing doomsayers like Ehrlich, 60 Minutes should talk to Marian Tupy, the creator of humanprogress.org.
Everybody is getting richer and longer living, and life is getting better.
It is. The modern era has brought much longer lives and the greatest decline in poverty ever. Young activists think capitalists are destroying the earth.
Millions of people are dying.
People are throwing paint at works of art or blocking traffic.
They believe it's the moral thing to do because experts like Ehrlich scare them. Paul Ehrlich wouldn't talk to me for this video, but 7 years ago he did talk to us. He said, well, when you predict the future, you get things wrong.
It's very difficult for me to picture things holding together for more than another decade.
He's wrong about everything, but they invite him back. They love this stuff.
If you sell the apocalypse, people feel like you are deep and that you care. But if you are selling rational optimism, you sound uncaring.
uncaring.
Childbearing is herewith forbidden.
It's the doomsayers who are uncaring.
You have to get the death rate and birth rate in balance, and there's only two ways to do it. One is to bring the birth rate down, the other is to push the death rate up.
Ehrlich even suggested that government should sterilize people to prevent the population from rising.
Paul Ehrlich always sees human beings as a problem, destroyers rather than creators. He thinks that human beings are no different to rats or rabbits. When we consume all the grass around us, our population explodes and then it's going to collapse. But human beings are fundamentally different. We have the capacity to innovate.
Marian Tupy is the anti-Ehrlich. His new book, Superabundance, shows more people are good for humanity and the environment. It's counterintuitive to think that more people can be good for the environment because the people will buy cars and they need housing. We use stuff.
We use stuff, but we also grow stuff. What matters is new knowledge. Think about something as simple as sand. When we started melting down sand to create glass, we used the first glass for glass beads or jars. But now we are using glass in fiber optic cables and microchips.
Similar innovation in farming, transportation, genetic engineering is why our growing population won't destroy nature. But we're told we're destroying forests.
Looks like a disease across the planet. Boom, there goes the forest.
Nonsense. Forests have grown by 35% in North America and Western Europe in the last 20 years.
Grown because people found ways to produce more food on less land. And prosperous countries can afford to protect nature. But the idea that human innovation is helping nature isn't as popular as doomsayers' claims.
This universe is finite, its resources finite. If life is left unchecked, life will cease to exist.
When Ehrlich's book became popular, Thanos, a comic book character, was introduced.
By killing 50% of all living things in the universe, he will allow the other half to live on.
In the year 2022, nothing runs anymore.
That same year, we also got the movie Soylent Green.
The population of the United States has run out of food, and so every time a human being dies, he or she is converted into a biscuit called Soylent Green.
Step right up. Soylent Green right here.
That's then fed to people.
You gotta tell them, Soylent Green is people!
Now we're past 2022, and we're still not eating each other. Nevertheless, ignorant doomsayers still want us to panic.
I want you to feel the fear I feel every day.
Many young people have been so misled, they're afraid to have kids. But that would hurt the world.
The biggest problem the world will face in 20 years is population collapse.
That's a bigger problem. Fewer women have babies today. But we need young people to provide the innovation that will solve the Earth's problems. If fewer people have babies, the child who might grow up to cure cancer or develop a miracle battery may never be born. But more people by itself is not enough to get all this innovation.
It is certainly not. If the number of people was all that mattered, China would have been the richest country for centuries. But in fact, what you need is people and freedom. If you let human beings be free, they are going to create more value for everyone.
Where we're going, we don't need roads.
Hopefully that was entertaining and highly informative for you guys. Comment below what your thoughts are about that. The narrative of overpopulation, we live in a huge ass world, okay? Me living in California, just driving down to LA, vast land. It's not overpopulated. And you see in that video, we're actually innovating less land to grow our foods, which is amazing. And we need population. Don't have any fear. I think life is gonna go on, but we'll see. With the fear of World War III, this Biden election, BRICS, all this stuff we covered, man. We will see. See y'all next week. Appreciate y'all being here. Like, share, and subscribe, and question everything. Peace out.